Welcome, I'm Bill Wake. We're working on a program called Fiume. It's a planner to help you with medium and long-term financial planning. And one of the things we've done in the last day or so is introduce this notion of a date range. We had a start date and an end date in several places in our code. And so we've introduced this new object, and now we need to make sure everybody's using it that can and should. Okay, so here's DateSpec. I guess that's not the one I want. I really want DateRange. Okay. So DateRange, it really represents the first and last dates for something. And you got this date specifier that can be unchanged. It can be a month and year. It can be a relative to a birth date. And the big function we have is includes, which basically takes the complexity of that range and decides, give me a month and a year, and I'll tell you if it's in that complex range. All right. So I did a search for first, and it showed kind of the objects I think we want to mess with today. All right, so one I noticed was this. We have equatable on Leias, but it references LHS.first and LHS.last. Now Leias, it really still has those, but I don't think we introduced yet. Let's put in this dates, and I think we'll just construct it on the fly. Dates is a date range, and the way you calculate it, well, it's just date range first and last. Now you might wish we could just set that directly as a variable, but we're trying to not break our persistence, which has these two fields. I know ways around it. I mean, we can migrate objects, but it's a little bit of a hassle. Or we could manually do our encode decode, which is not horrible, but again, it's a little hassle. I don't want the hassle. So we'll just wish one of these into existence. Now, what I'd like to do then is get rid of all the uses of first or last and be able to make this private, if that still works with persistence. I think it should, since the object that's creating it through persistence has access to Leias. All right, but if we have date range here, dates, okay, we've already used it here, so we don't really need to make a variable for it. This is almost like an extract for this, and we can just return that. So let's make sure that part's good. Oh, I don't need the return, do I? Okay, now we're finding out if our new approach is so fast, but it really is the build time that kills you on that initial one. I don't know why there's 3 processes running either. Oh, indexing. Oh, waiting for iPad to start. Okay. We're supposed to be getting 3-second test runs here. This has been more like 5 to 10. Still not done. Oh, is it done? No. Okay. Yeah, once it finally kicks off, it's not too bad. All right. So introduce dates accessor in Leias. Okay. And back to here. Now this reference to first, I think we can just change that to dates. And drop that. Okay, so Ooh. Requires that conform to equatable. Okay, well that's certainly doable. Okay. All right, so that one's done. Now let's look at this. Okay, yeah, this is more complicated. This is our UI. So when you edit a pool, well, you've got fields for these values, you know, name and amount and so on. But I think where we want to go is we wanted to create an editor for this combination. All right, and do that. I think that's doable, but a little more work than I want to do at the very moment. EditStreamView is going to be the same thing. Let's do PoolView first. This is the one that really gets me. Okay, so I think this should be the description on the date range, and I think it should be better. Right now it says unchanged and stuff like that, and I really would like that to be better. Okay, so what I'm saying is that we should have a description on range, just like we have this description on date spec. All right, and I'm going to steal this, okay, and then put it on date range. Let's put these next to each other. Okay. So unfortunately, we can't use the default one because we need the list of people, and it's more of a dynamic thing, and you know, it goes on and on. All right, but this should be, well, it should be kind of like this, but we don't want the months in there. We'll play with it. Okay, date range. So the way it is now, we don't want months. We just want the actual thing. So this is pool. Well, really, it's going to be first because we have both those values. So first.description.people, last.description.people. Description for people, I guess you'd say. Okay, and then if I've extracted this right, then pool.dates.description of people should have all that. One more print. Okay, and then I guess I'll say the same change here. Stream.dates.description.people to there. That. Okay, let's make sure that all looks good. And I'm kind of back filling in. there are places where I want to see these descriptions like that, and places I don't. Well, we'll run it too because this is UI kind of stuff. I don't know, I really wish I could get that message to go away about logging. Okay, and so let's run. All right, and so well, we should have a couple things in there. Yeah, so it says unchanged to unchanged. I don't really like that. As a matter of fact, I don't even know that if I want to say the months when there aren't any. Okay. That's not a refactoring change. That's a function change. If this was March 2025 to anything, I'd just like if it's just one or the other, I'd like to have empty for the rather than the word unchanged. I don't think unchanged helps. And I honestly think empty would just be better. All right. So, well, it's working for what it's worth. I mean, that's the important thing. All right. So let's commit that. Give date range a description people method. I should say extract. And I know these are not really static methods, but I just kind of use that as a identifying. Maybe I should do like a colon. And so you see, I got to push off that work I didn't want to do for a whole 5 minutes, right? Okay. Are you really uncommitted? No. You just lost. Okay. Right. So let me add that to the to-do. Yeah. Okay. I've got it on the future one. All right. So let's look at, I guess we did this one. Okay, no, it was just using those two, as far as I could tell. Okay, and back to this. All right, so the pool view itself just shows what you have. The EditPoolView and EditStreamView have to actually make them. And they both do the same thing. They track a start month and an end month. Now, where do they? Yeah, and in here they do the date range. Okay, so, well, let's see. I guess we're going to pull this. Well, what are we doing? We're creating a date range editor, edit date range view. I don't know if I have a good convention for these things. Edit date range view. I don't know, view seems kind of implied by edit. Maybe not. All right. Well, this is the core. Let's extract it in place. Oh, you don't do the right thing, do you? All right. Var body of some view. Okay, now this thing has to edit these things. Sorry, they go up a little higher. And the goal of this is to include these two lines. I'll just be explicit here. Okay. Now the question is, who should own this? Well, I think that probably does mean this is more of a binding, but I don't really want. I mean, what I'd like in the end is, I guess I'd want that. Well, I'd kind of like a date range to be the object on here. Now, this is where we get screwed up because we're trying to make this thing be its own. Well, maybe the best way is to get it going and then fiddle with it, right? That's matches to call an initializer. Well, I don't know what that means. Where my little cheat booklet is. It's got one printed copy and I've lost it. Here it is. It's just dead binding, isn't it? Oh, I guess I just do colon since somebody else is initializing it. Okay. All right, so now I should be able to call this thing Are they both date spec? No, start month and end month. Okay. And we're a view, so I should be able to show my canvas. Do I not have a preview? I don't. Well, I guess we'll run. This is EditStreamView. And if we look at these, we should be able to edit. Oh, that's a pool view. Sorry. Stream view. Okay. Well, there we have start month, end month. Everything looks good. We could change it. Yeah. Okay. So because we're delaying until 2029, okay. Okay, so now we'll extract it into its own file, make EditPoolView use it, and see about converting it to relying on DateRange instead of DateSpecifier. Okay, so, well, I guess it's going to need this stuff. New file, it's a view. We'll put a preview on this thing. Edit DateRangeView. Edit DateRangeView.swift is part of module Fiume model. How is that true? That's not right. He should be part of this. Okay. Now this one is Fiume. Yeah, generic Fiume. Okay. I guess we have to run to check it. Oh, it's not going to run because I don't have the stuff. Okay, let's see if we get our preview. No, we don't. Using a non-local scope. And still trying. Yeah, and apparently they're using the same simulator for both. Well, while that's building, we'll take a peek. Oh, can't do that. I guess I'm paying for having restarted my iPad without having run any previews since then. Okay. Looks like it's trying. Oh no. Rebuilding the Swift parser stuff. Ugh. I haven't heard anything about the new Xcode coming out yet. I assume I'd hear it somewhere. I don't think I have any reason not to switch as long as my iPad can run the latest version. I guess my customers too. My phone's getting a little long in the tooth. It can't run some stuff anymore. Build failed. Can I find date specifier and type? Oh, there it goes. Oh, rebuilding that again. No wonder it's so slow. Well, maybe I won't sit around for that. Let's just get this one changed. Okay, so this should be able to be edit date range view. Start month is dollar start month, and month is dollar end month, I assume. Okay. And it's got both those fields, so that's fine. All right. Oh, I feel like it's so close. But the denominator keeps growing too. All right, might be done. No. I really wish previews just worked like they're supposed to. I mean, they'd be handy, but when it takes longer to rebuild for the previews than it does to just run the app, that's kind of unfortunate. Well, maybe it's going to take forever there too. Who knows? Okay. Well, my theory here is that we should be able to modify this to take that binding. All right, that looks okay. Edit. Yeah. Okay. Instead of this, we should be able to create a dates. Dates of date range. Now, how do they initialize? Well, let's make it date range dot null for starters. Okay, but then we get an int. You don't really need it if you got an int. Initial value pool dot first. Okay, so self dot dates equals init with initial value. Pool dot dates. Okay. Now down here somewhere it should be complaining. Well, I'm going to change both these at once. Okay. Okay, so we're pushing this down a level. And okay, and then EditStreamView has to do the same thing. Steal. And the view, okay. And this becomes dates. And this one becomes dates. Okay, well, that's kind of simpler one. Well, I don't know. In a way, you think it'd be faster if it left one up for each of them and then just used the one it needed, but it seems like it keeps spinning them up. I don't know, super annoying. It's just like the sandbox, you know, it's like, I wish I could use the sandbox for things, but every time I do, it just seems to take forever. Previews are worse, though. All right, I think I got everything consistent. Let's see. Oh, I don't want these two kicking around. Okay. Don't need that. Don't need these two. Oh, this is the init. Okay. And it'll be interesting to look at both these. They should be the same. I don't think they would fit on the same line in like two columns. You know, it'd be kind of cramped. I think we're okay as is. And that should be Asset pool goes away in 2044. All right. Commit that. Okay, now going back to this, I think we got rid of that. Now we use dates first. Now we use dates here. And now we use description here. So I think at this point, nobody is looking at first and last. Let's see if that's true. Okay, so this, well, what will break, I guess, if persistence doesn't like the private field thing, something will break. Or run tests first. Now, I don't know if part of what I'm seeing, like if you change something in our framework, right, everything that needs the framework has to recompile. Whereas before, if you changed Leia, only the things that depended on Leia would have to recompile or rebuild or whatever. So I think we're seeing a little payment there from that. If you were just working in the view, you shouldn't have to, but we did see some slow builds, so I don't know. Okay, and run. And my hope is we see our kind of crazy graph. Yep. Okay, so it did load it up okay. Nobody cares. Good. All right. Okay, so DateRangeView used by EditStreamView and EditPoolView. And we just did that. Okay, and let's make a better date range description. Okay. That's not in our test yet either. All right, so what I wanted to do is if it's an unchanged, I want it to be a blank, but if they both end up blank, then I want to just, I don't know, maybe I could say all in parentheses or something. But it also makes me wonder who's calling this if it's just us. A date specifier. Okay. PoolView getter body. Well, no, that's just description. No, its indexing seems to be slow. Let's find symbol. Okay, date specifier tests itself. DateRange uses it. Date specifier has it. PoolView is using dates description, not date specs. Okay, so if there's no date specified, what does unchanged? It has two different interpretations. That's the problem. And I maybe the feature I added that makes it the second interpretation is if you define like a salary and then you come in later in a scenario or whatever reason later and you define that same salary, you can change the start date of it because you override when you introduce new things. So if it started out unchanged, it would mean now. If I overrode it with a month, it would change to that start month. If I overrode it again with unchanged, it would still be that start month. So it's either that pane of glass letting something show through, or if you show through all the way to the back, it's kind of like now. I could show today. Yeah, I don't know. I hate to introduce the concept of now that's kind of this floating date and you run it at midnight and it says it's, from July and then, midnight on going into August 1st, all of a sudden it's 1 month later on you for no reason I can see. Because, like normally if somebody's alive and you're writing their dates, they're born in 1980, you write 1980 dash or 1980 dash present. Now maybe present to May 2025. That's not so bad. May 2025, May 2020 to present. That's not so bad. I think at least let's change this to present. And I'm going to do it the backwards way because it seems like we have pretty decent tests covering that stuff. And so 2 tests, I think, should break. Okay. 1. Is that the only unchanged? He's not printing description. Okay. Okay, so a date specifier now says present. All right, let's see that in action. Yeah, unchanged, I don't know. I don't know if that override thing is a good idea. All right. Yeah, see, that's much nicer. January 2029 to the present. But it's not right, is it? um, um, yeah, that's annoying. Empty would work better there. Well, I think I kind of prefer empty. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Okay, I'm gonna do that. And this is forward TDD now because this is where it'll change. But I don't know. I think that sounds okay. But if you have dash, just dash, because you got nothing to nothing, that's not right either. Okay, so let's change this. See how we like it. And so I think DateRange is going to have the responsibility to say, if you're dash to dash, I don't like it. All right, so let's add another stream. We'll give it both unchanged, and it's $500 a month. Create that. Yeah, that's like annoying. Now, I don't know if that word months in front of it adds anything. Okay. But that goes on DateRange. Sure. Okay. A date range description. Is empty if range is empty. That's kind of the most complicated ones. Maybe a normal one. Okay, so this one should pass, but this one should fail. And here's where you can see the power of that macro, right? It digs in and it says, oh, you said is empty. What did you call is empty on? It was this string, just a dash, and shows it to us. And you don't get that with, XCT assert true. All right. Well, date range. If self equals null, and then I want to find that text for months. I'm just going to take that out. I don't think it's helpful at this point. Yeah, so it's a little redundant here because that's the only date you've got. All right, and that's in PoolView and StreamView. All right, I don't mind the spaces. Should pool just have a description method? Okay, and then StreamView. Yeah, I think that's how I'd like it. The only I kind of hate the word January as a word there. But the best alternative I have is 2020-01 and then -01-2020-44. That's not going to look right either. Maybe abbreviations would be better. All right, let's see where those come from. Make sure this test is running. I thought we fixed that. Date specifier. Yeah, let's see who references this. Oops. Just us. Oh, it is private. Okay. We'll try it with dots. Not consistent, am I? Okay, surely some tests are using this. And now I have to guess which ones. I don't think I need the comma either. Just like that. Okay, let's go back. Where's your description or your toString? All right, I'm gonna break a bunch more now. A date range. Okay. A month year. Where's a date spec? Okay, I'm gonna take a look. Whoa, plottable. Plus plottable. Fatal error unexpectedly found nil when wrapping an optional. Yeah, that's saying self.description, so month year.description can be nil? That doesn't seem possible. Month and year are concrete things, right? Well, let's get on this. Month is a month, year is an int. So how does description month? Well, month is custom string convertible. Month sub self dot raw value. How? Let's do that again. Wow. Let's break here and do it again. Port to see more information. I mean, raw value. How does that get to be anything but one of these? Yeah, good idea. Huh. All right, let's, if one self dot raw value is less than Jan, or self dot raw value greater than deck, return if self dot instance member Jan cannot be used on type int. Maybe that was the bad part. Yeah, I do have 12 months there. Oh. Yeah, okay. I don't think it can be less than Jan. Well, it shouldn't be. But Jan is 0, and that's the first index in our array. Very weird, though. Oh, goodness. This is really weird, though. Break here, too. Yeah, I mean, I didn't add or subtract entries in that table. Some of them are shorter than they were. None of them are longer. What? True by thread 0. Dispatch closure 1 and closure 1 and closure 1 and assertion failure. Month primitive plotter plus 736 plottable Swift line 9. Well, that almost seems like it's ignoring. Well, here's plottable. Date formatter date from self description. Well, I guess it's me assuming date formatter date returns. Am I doing that format right? I don't know why it would all of a sudden be a problem, but maybe I should be using MMM. Yeah, maybe that's all it is. Maybe I somehow got an extra M in there. Yeah, it worked before. Oh man, it's just not. Okay. So somehow my date formatter is coming up with nil when it tries to format a date. All right. Let's put the do I just want to make it empty? Let me make it empty and then we'll do something with it. Wow. Can I convert value of string? Oh, this is giving a date. Oh, self.description does not match that. That's what it is. But there must be one. Well, I could live without the periods. Yeah. I probably should go find the actual documentation. Date formatter. There doesn't appear to be any. Date. Okay, it is coming off month year's description. Yeah. Come on, Apple. Any day. Date formatter. CSV. No, that's not it. Okay, I'm gonna take the dots out. Make them consistent. Okay. There it went. Ugh, the documentation just drives me nuts sometimes. From string, date format, data format guide. Okay, that's what I wanted to link to. All right, let's run this again. Is it all caps for the M's? I can't remember. Date formatters. Just a table, guys. Come on. Okay. Click here. Okay, they use MM. Somewhere they had MMM. Well, there's the long form. Yeah, I could just say medium. But in any case, this is working now. Now these dates, that's the plottable stuff. I don't think I... Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. But why, like... Well, okay, if you want to do apple.com. I don't understand why they don't just have a table that shows you those things. Date format from template, date components formatter. I don't know. Yeah, let's look at this guy. Well, he's working again. I guess I should live with that and be happy. Make sure I like the look of it, okay, but I think it was fine. Jan 2020, Jan 2020. Yeah, I think that's all right. All right, I think I will live with that. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see what we're doing. For unchanged, use empty unless both ends of range are empty. Well, can I say that better? Kind of. Okay. Where are we? Okay, we got good time. All right, so next, I don't have any particular order on these. Split up net worth calculation, that was the discussion around different kinds, showing different reports other than net worth. Usability, label asset or income. Okay, let's see what we do now. Oh, okay. So my thought was we don't show this word asset on this. And so you're left to sort of, the icons give you a clue, but they're a little bit, well, they're a little cryptic, I guess, you know. I mean, I think they're suggestive, but I think we should put this on the front. So asset colon, then the name savings or income colon or expense or liability. We don't show that now. So I guess that's PoolView and StreamView. Can I grab both these? Nope. Okay, so okay, so here we say name. I would really like to say the type. Now, how do we know? Wow, we don't know. We don't know if it's a stream or a pool. How bizarre. Yeah, we get more space, right? So we'll spend it on that. I guess it's Leah doesn't know. Now, maybe it should. Huh. Okay. This is plan. Well, I'm showing the icons at the plan level. Oh, maybe that's okay. Oh yeah, I know it's a pool view, so I know what we have. Okay. All right. I guess that's a view based on the type. Do we care? Well, we got color for asset and liability. Right, we're showing that. Okay, I think it's fair to ask a pool, which is a plan, right? No, a pool's a Leia. Well, the plan is the plan. Okay. It's okay to ask the plan what type you are. All right. Yeah, they come from different things. But we know it's a pool when we get here. And so maybe that's just a job of this. It's more of a display attribute, I guess. If I know you're a pool and I know you're positive, then you're an asset. And if you're negative, you're a liability. Okay. Well, let's get a little helper function or something. Type is string. If pool is non-negative, if it's non-negative, we return asset, otherwise liability. Okay, so I think I'm kind of extracting it in effect here. All right. Okay, so that's building. Okay, so let's extract that. This is just, well, it's color of type. Types of R. Okay. Well, let's make sure that runs. Okay, colors look good. All right, so now I want to be type like that. So this will only work for our asset. We just have one asset. Yeah, I think that's all right. And if I change this, if I change it to liability and update it, all right. Yeah, I think we'll just do something similar for StreamView. And now this is income and expense. I guess that's stream. And this is color of type. Okay, and they're different colors because they're different categories. Yeah, I think that's good. Well, the names don't really match the being liabilities, but that's okay. All right, so this is, well, test shouldn't break. Oh, okay. Well, no, this is the bad thing. Oh, I took out the dots. Yeah, I didn't check that in either. Well, I think we're getting some good things, like the month, year, and we extracted those as real value types. I think that's good. All right, but we left over a little month. I must have not updated the test after I changed to use 3-letter month abbreviations and put asset, liability, income, or expense on viewed Leias. Okay. Net worth calculations. I don't think that's the most important thing at this point. We have an effective enough net worth calculation. I think it's going to be the most common thing you're looking at if you're trying to figure out retirement. Like, you want to make sure your net worth stays positive if you follow some plan. If you go negative in a few months, you probably like to know it, but you'll see it by the graph going down too. So let me move this guy down. What I call that? Design. Okay, make edit pages, say update, create, and delete people. Okay. Yeah, I think both those are worth doing in terms of just kind of tweaking what we allow. Yeah, so we'll tackle those two next. We'll take a break first, though. So 3 or 4 minutes, and we'll come back and see what we can do on the usability or display front. See you in a few. Welcome back. All right, so the first thing is this notion of edit pages. If we're editing a page, well, if we're adding a new entry, we want to say create. If we're editing, we want to say update. And maybe the name, I don't know if that part shows through. And just playing around a second ago, so when we edit this page, it comes up with negative sign here and then gets a warning. It is a liability. it should just not show the negative sign. So there's something going on with our editing. But what I was expecting was to say, edit either, I don't know, I should say something, but edit savings or edit liability. Yeah, not sure. All right, and then if we create a new one, we say add to plan, and you got pool and stream up here. That's kind of enough. Okay, even though they're looking at the same thing inside. Okay. Right, so let's get this liability thing in there too. Okay. I assume the same thing happens here. Yep. Okay. So that's edit pool view. Okay. I think the value negative is correct here. Okay. So let's close these. All right, so I guess one thing is adding a title, and the caller is the one that chooses the title if there is one. Okay, and then this initialization. Initial value of amount. Well, I would say that should be the absolute value. We've already detected the negative. Yeah, it should start out as the absolute value. I agree. Okay, and that's edit pool view. Yeah, that's better. Okay, let's do the same thing for EditStreamView. Yep, okay. Whoa. Now, last time this happened, it did not check in what we thought it should. It says no changes. Okay. And this took out that and that. Okay. Well, what I was going to do was move this. Okay, Negate pages say create or update. I don't think we have to say create, but let's see what we want to say. Can you do a preview? Am I going to waste my time for 5 minutes? Yeah, Xcode took a break a little late. Well, all I'm thinking to do is pass a title string, and if it's not nil, print, put it in up here somewhere, either before or after the form. I guess it could probably be in the form. It's ridiculous. Preparing, testing. Well, there's nothing wrong with passing in a string. All right, and then somebody's going to be breaking because they call it. Surely somebody else calls it. Well, you had the... I don't know what's going on. It had the syntax errors right there. Okay, add plan view already has a title, I guess. Maybe I should just make that optional. So add plan view doesn't need it. Oh, maybe he does. No. That can't be the only places for that. It's not. Okay. I don't think we captured it. Um, is it format? It would look better outside, wouldn't it? All right, so edit pool. Give it some border. Why? Add plan was centered. Yeah, I believe that's right. We'll check. Padding's okay. And then if we add to plan, okay. And you are selecting one of these. But when you know it, I guess that's locked in. Okay. That's the pool. Edit stream. Yeah, I hate that these are so similar. Okay, and then PoolView. I guess we need StreamView. Yeah, not the most elegant way to do this, probably. Edit stream, edit stream. Okay. All right, delete people. We haven't looked at people in a while. Okay, so edit presented equals true. So I think this is somewhat analogous to this. Yeah, we don't have a trash can icon, but this is probably what it's going to be before the is presented. Oh, who knew? I guess why would it? Okay. Add or replace. Okay. All right. So we need a test for that. Okay, the people removes person. Actually, that's probably more accurate. Changes when person is removed. Okay, so we add Buck. Let's make it Sal. Find by ID, I think returns nil. Yeah. Okay, so we create a person, we add it to the list, we remove it from the list, we expect we can't find by ID anymore, and we expect people was changed. And that should fail. Both those. Good point. Okay, let's add both. So Sal was in there, so that's good. Okay. Now it was changed still. That's because it was changed, gets cleared when we save to disk. So I think we better, let's clear that flag here. Okay, just to simulate that part. That should just make both 69 and 70 should fail at that point. Okay. All right, and let's remove. I see the duplication there. We'll get that in a minute. Should pass. Good. And then this can be remove person. I guess that's the edit function. Right. Okay. All right. So tests are passing. Well, let's make sure they don't mind this change. And our run should do it. All right, we don't have any people yet. Snake, Liza. Okay, and we'll edit her. Oops, should have been 85. And delete. Okay. Yeah, good idea. Oops. I'm just going to move this line up. Okay. Okay, well, now we're ready to start some other area a little bit. One thing would be making amounts overwritable. And that would also include letting you do fractions of values as well. So, Social Security, I mean, there's complicated things, but you get situations where one spouse's Social Security is exactly half the other's. I don't know that there are other possibilities. No, there are. You learn these obscure things, I guess, going into the domains. But if one spouse dies, and depending on their age, you get a percentage that's not one half. You might get 71% or 72%. What happens to streams using deleted people? Yeah, that's a good question. Well, but basically what happens is they get zeroed out. But let's put one in and see. Okay, so we deleted Sal. Let's put I'll put Liza back in. Okay. And we'll create a stream for her. Yeah, let's make it a stream. Liza's job, its income, it's 1,000. Well, I think we have 1,000, so let's make it 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and we'll start. Well, let's make it Social Security. And we'll start her at age 62. Okay, create. All right, I'm going to flip this asset around. It's getting confusing. Okay, so there we have Liza's 62 going on. If we delete Liza, all right, I guess we should say what we're going to see first. Well, she's sinking slower. Well, why is she sinking? She has 500 a month. She's getting salaries. Well, I don't know. I forget what her age is. 1990. So she's out of the view. Okay, let's change her. All right. 19. I can't do the math if I don't do it. Okay, so 60 is 2025. 2022. Okay, there we go. It gets positive. All right, so 2022 is a little too soon. Okay, let's check. Yeah, developing good scenarios is tricky. Okay, so let's start her in 70 and 60s 2030 something. Okay, that should show up. It's 2024, right? Okay. Yeah, there we go. So she's losing money because her second job is costing her money. 2030 something, 2032, I guess, Social Security kicks in. All right, so what we expect is the decline. So this increase here is from Social Security kicking in 2032. When we take this, when we delete her, we expect that to zero out and nothing to blow up. And yeah, and it goes down again because that and person not found. Now, I don't know if we... I don't know if that's doing enough. I mean, we did make it so it doesn't blow up, and we made it so it contributes 0. I think that's the minimum. I could see something that says like, hey, don't paint this green if it's not the right person. Maybe paint it gray or something. But it does return 0. So before we had that dip going, it started going down because she was losing money every month. A salary of 100 and a second salary of negative 500, or an expense of 500. So she was going down 400 a month. Social Security kicked in. She was going up. Take away the Social Security, she just keeps going down until at some point this asset goes away. The $5,000 ends here, and so it drops her down. It's not too much on this graph, but it drops her down a noticeable amount. Maybe I'll add that as a future thing, but the problem I have is it's going to be very hard to, well, very is probably strong, but to delete the person, and then should we delete those things, or should we not let them delete the person until the stuff is gone? You know, I don't know what the right answer is. I mean, we certainly have local information here that we can detect this date is kind of like not valid, really, because the person doesn't exist. Yeah, it's still an income stream, but it really is 0 at this point. So that's kind of lying to you, right? It's saying it's going to get you $12.34 a month, but it doesn't. Yeah, I'm going to take that as a future thing. I think it's a relatively unlikely case, but do better when deleting a person with active Leias. Okay. I think, well, it's not an impossible error, but I think between me and my brother, the two actual users of this, both of us know who our wives are, and we know who our own self is, and we probably can add them with hardly hardly any errors. And if most likely you're going to set this up first, and then, well, I guess you wouldn't have to, but if you did, you wouldn't have a problem. You know, you're not going to delete this person. All right. So growth, inflation, or amounts. It's after 4, so we got about 20 minutes. Now, this one is also a little funny that the way we handle it is correct in the sense that if the end date is before the start date, we make it zeroed out. So I think that one is actually kind of covered. Now we silently zero out the amount. Or maybe I should say use 0 for the amount. All right, amount overridable Social Security with half of spouse. Okay, so what's going to be more important? Well, this half of spouse thing is pretty useful in the scenarios I want to be able to do. All right, so let's find amount. All right, that's on Leah. Okay, so notice right now amount is just money. And strike through the value if the person's not found. Oh yeah, I like that idea. Okay. I mean, I could see a rule that says you can't delete the person until you've deleted the active things for them, but this is good. This makes you makes it visible to you, and it explains why there's no contribution. Okay, right. So here, oh man, another change. For dates, because we wanted the flexibility to put either unchanged or specific dates, month, years, or ages, we introduced this date specifier object. Now, what I want to do next is create a money specifier object. And one thing could be an amount, the other could be unchanged. Okay, so with our scenario stuff, I don't know if I want to generate the whole thing, but let's say I created a new entry for salary, and I set whatever, I have to set the amount. If I left it 0, it would override this, and we would have a 0 per month salary, even dates, before this new one started. Now, whether unchanged is a good idea, it's, if it's a good idea for dates, it's probably a good idea for money. But in money's case, it probably really does mean unchanged, and the default is 0 if you haven't specified one. But the other one, it could be unchanged, it could be an amount, or it could be a fraction of another thing. Now, I don't know what that thing is. I guess it's probably a stream. Right? So if... This is a little messy. Let's say I create my Social Security starting at age 67, and then my wife's Social Security is going to be half of that. But there's a little variation if... I forget the deal. If I take it at 65... hey, the Wrapped, or they Wrapped. Welcome back anyway. And thank you for subscribing. That's great. I appreciate it a lot. All right. So we're discussing money and how do you make money that depends on other people's money. And I'm going to have to go into the, dig up my accounting hat or my web research hat. If I'm eligible for a certain amount of Social Security and my wife is eligible for half of mine, but either I take it early, does it cost her, or are we both basing off the same thing? Yeah, it's definitely a U.S. specific rule thing. So it's to deal with the case like if you had, let's say you have a couple where they both are working, they both make $50,000 a year. Their total household income is $100,000 a year. And, so what should their Social Security be based on compared to a husband that works at a $100,000 a year job and it's a stay-at-home mom who basically has no income directly. She's doing this stuff to support her spouse in this higher paying job. And in the U.S., at least, you get the maximum of whatever you qualify on your own income or one half of your spouse's. So if you make $75,000 and your spouse makes $100,000, steady state or whatever, your Social Security will be based on your 100 and your wife's will be based on your 75. But if she made 50,000 or less, then she comes below that 50% mark, then they bump it up to 50% of the spouse. I don't know the total justification or why they decided to do that, but they do. And it used to be if you were 10 years older, they had other things that you could do to like somehow qualify and get even more income from it. But yeah, it's just a normal rule. Now, the other one is like if your spouse, let's say the high income earner dies, and are you going to take money now, or are you going to wait till you're eligible for Social Security, or what are you going to do? And there's a set of rules around that you can get, if you take money before you turn 62, maybe the most you get is 71% of what you would get if you waited or something like that. So one half is a very common number, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it's trying to do is give you some fairness that, the couple qualified, at a certain level and somewhat maintain a standard. I mean, it's still half as much as if the person were alive, or less than half really. So, but it gives you something to go on. It's a bonus for the people that, well, yeah, I don't know. It's good and bad. It's clearly addressing something, it's like somebody that supported their spouse the whole time. And, the spouse contributed a lot of money to the society or whatever, in taxes and everything. Seems like they should get a share of that. That's fine. All right. But what I don't know is, do you have to wait until, like, at what point do you start collecting half? If you say, my husband wants to retire at 67 and I want to retire at 62, do you start collecting half at that point, half of what they would get today or half of what they would get in the future, or what is it, So I don't know enough to know what it is, but I think the way it would work out would be we would specify, well, we have IDs, but we would show the word here. So let's create a Social Security, sort of full price Social Security. And then if the wife takes it at 62, she gets one half of the full price Social Security starting at her age 62. And maybe the husband can't get that until 67 or something like that. I don't know. But in any case, I think what you'd be referencing in this amount is half of this other stream. I think it's the stream is what you're going by. All right. I think we can put a little in, but I'm going to break stuff. Oh, just. Oh. Do we need to specify the spouse? I don't think you do, because the stream. I mean, when I say my Social Security, I'm gonna list my own Social Security, so I think it'll be kind of built in. There is ambiguity. Okay, so we set up all these soap opera scenarios, right? Let's say you have John and Alice, or Bob and Alice are married, okay, and Bob dies, and if Alice is not remarried, she can collect on his Social Security, and that's fine. If she remarries, something else applies. But let's take Bob and Alice and let them divorce. All right, so Alice if she was married a certain amount of time, she's eligible for her share of Bob's stuff, even if she's not married. And, even if June is Bob's current spouse, June can collect half of Bob's money and Alice can collect half of Bob's. It doesn't affect Bob's money at all. But we can imagine having 3 people involved and trying to keep track of things. So I don't know the answer. Well, no, I do know, I guess, because it doesn't matter who your spouse. If you don't have a spouse, you still might be collecting on somebody else's stream. And so I think it really is the stream that counts. Okay, so, sorry, 2 messages I kind of feel like I got to check. It's probably political. I get, yeah, 2 of those. I get all these, I feel like they're fake surveys. I don't know. It feels like maybe it's the opposite party is trying to survey me to make me feel a certain way about another party, regardless of whether or not they really care about the answers. All right. But at any rate, what's going to happen is I think we're going to make a money specifier. And I mean, I can do it right now, right? I can just type alias it. Public type alias it. Money specifier is money. Okay. And I think everything will build. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to break it. Okay, you don't like that either. Okay, I'm still building. All right, but now I'm going to change this to money specifier. Now, from a persistence point of view, I have to keep worrying about persistence. Money specifier is fine if it's just a type alias, but if I add anything to it and turn it into something more like date specifier, then I'm going to break my IO again. Okay. So I don't want to do that. Now I can add a field, but if I change one, it's likely to break unless I take special care. But what do I want to do here? Well, maybe let's not screw around with that. I don't think it helps anything. Let's start in on money specifier. I think that's a real thing, and we can test some aspects of it before we integrate it in. Okay, now I'll just go ahead and create the file for money specifier, and we'll add a struct money specifier. Okay, and I'll let it complain a minute, and then I'll add a test for a money specifier. Okay. This should fail. Well, I don't think it can be a computed property without more information. Well, I think what I really want to do to make this flow right, I think I have to leave this here. Right. Yeah, if I leave amount in, but it's unused, I'd have to make sure when I specify it, if there were money in there, then my money amount should be based on that. If it's 0, then I'm free to look at money amount based on the other, I think. Now, that may mean, like, I may have to break down and write my read routine. Okay, but definitely another day. Attributes violation should be on there. Yeah, I don't care about that. Okay. Okay, I don't care about async throws either at this point. Yeah, issue.record just records the issue's failure, but it's not really a failure yet, I guess. Well, I suppose it's a failure. Okay. All right. So what I think is, well, I think a money specifier is an enum, just like date specifier. Now the question is, what are you going to ask a money specifier? Well, the default has got to be, it's got a value of money. Maybe it's amount. And I think we're just amount of money. Case. Okay. And so I think no simple amount. Okay. And if you say what's system under test equal money specifier dot amount, what do I call it? Amount, right? Amount dot amount of 100, and then I expect that sut dot amount value equals 100. Okay, so I'm assuming cannot find money specifier in scope. If you made tests, start Fiume model. Specifier. Okay, let's do a build. He's got 2 complaints. Cannot find in scope. He has, oh, he doesn't have Fiume model. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Oh, you're right. I was going to say, the test doesn't care. Yeah, that's funny. Okay. Has no member value. Right. So this should have a var, public var value and it returns money. And okay. Now, I don't know if we're going to need arguments at some point. We probably will. Let's make this a function. Okay, should fail. Tests not yet implemented. And what's the matter? Cannot call value. That's just weird. Okay, but now I'm getting my right answer. It's just got the old assumption. Okay, now let's return amount. And did he get rid of his error? Good. All right. Well, we'll stop there. All right. Start creating MoneySpecifier and its test. Okay. So the way it is now, we've got a money that knows a value, and that's the only thing it knows. And so I think if we work that thing into our current setup, everybody should be happy. They ask for a value and they get it. At some point, you're going to need to know the plans or the somethings. I don't know how you're going to find out if you do this fraction thing. We'll have to see. That's going to be tricky. All right. Well, thanks for joining. We got a bunch of things cleaned up today that I really wanted to do. Well, this date range thing had been bugging me. We got it in all over the place. We got some labels on. We fixed a little glitch about negative. We got page labels, create item, or at least update pool or whatever. And we did deleting people. So I'm happy. That gets us to kind of a nice take a breath point. And then we'll jump into this next thing with value. It may be more than I can do. I mean, I'm not sure how this thing of reaching out to another plan in some context is. That may be kind of tricky. So we'll see if it makes sense. If it doesn't, we'll go ahead and move on growth and inflation, because I definitely want those soon. All right. Thanks for joining. Take care. See you tomorrow. Hopefully 2 to 4:30 Eastern, 6 to 8:30 p.m. UTC. And have a good evening. Take care.